Camille, how are you? Yo, let me start off by saying, anybody
Okay.
asks me about you, the first thing I say is, I fucking love Camille. Literally, that is the first thing I say. Straight up, straight up.
That's awesome. And
How you
I
doing?
love you too. It's fucking energy, right? It's
Right,
energy.
right.
It's
Like
energy.
when I first met you, it felt like I've known you for years. Like even now, it still feels like I've known you for years.
Right? Right. Right. It's
100%.
it's family. It's definitely family energy.
Yes, man.
Great.
How are you doing?
Excellent. Listen, as long as I keep myself away from the crazy on the other side, like we are in a state right now, D, where if you don't separate yourself from the shit that propaganda is trying to get us to be a part of, we will be on a real quick slope to death. And so, as long as I keep myself back, I'm good.
Look, I don't even play into none of that shit. I don't play into politics. I don't play into any type of social media shit. If it don't pertain to me, I stay out of
Hell yes. And that's where we're supposed to be. I mean, the fact that they got people believing and being fearful of a virus that is technically no more virus than the flu.
it. Hmm.
The fear of this virus is what's spreading it. And
Hmm.
people are inundated day in and day out. And now they're forcing people to stay the fuck home day in and day out. If what you're hearing all day is virus, 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 you're going to die, you're already sick. You're
Right,
already sick. And you got to know how to balance or separate from that shit.
right. And see, like, so when the virus first came, it was like
Yeah.
we prepared for something that was not as bad as we thought. Like we thought it was gonna be a lot worse. Like I caught COVID. I caught COVID back in September. I didn't have a
Oh, shit.
symptom. I didn't have shit. I didn't have shit.
See?
Like
See?
I had a headache for 2 days maybe, but I would like I had my mom bring me some dumbbells to my room. I was just working out in my room.
But you just fucking said the important thing, though, was that you were working out.
100%. I work out. I take my supplements. You know, I drink water, all that. But I've like
Listen,
go ahead.
no, I was going to say people need to understand that we already, all of us, every single fucking one of us was born with the innate superhuman ability to heal ourselves. But the fact that we have gotten convinced, we have been convinced that a businessman who created Western medicine for profit 100 years ago is where we're going to throw and give our power. It's we're fucking backwards. And if we don't wake up, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
100%. And that's, you know, as the older I've gotten, I've pushed so like I've separated myself so far from just the typical idea of Western medicine because all it is pill pushers. And you know, I
Yep.
always tell people, even before COVID, I always tell that's actually what got me working out in the first place was because
Uh-huh.
the cholesterol runs in my family, and my brother who was younger than me at the time had high cholesterol, and I was like, well, fuck, I eat worse than him, so I'm pretty sure I fucking.
Right.
So I started working out. That's it. Because I didn't want to get on the pills. So I just started working out. And I keep working out. It's as simple as that.
So let's go to why that's a very important point that you just said. But let's go to why that is in the first place. So people that know me or people that are going to know me know that I specialize in the sinuses, right?
Mhm.
And there's a reason I specialize in sinuses. There is no such thing as fucking disease.
Mhm.
There is no disease. There are inflammatory states in the body that simply need to be reset. But what allows the body to reset? Cells. What do cells need? They need oxygen, right? Where is the one place that oxygen comes from? The heart doesn't breathe it. The lungs don't breathe it. The only place we have nostrils is in the face. So when we breathe, This up here, the head and the face, all a sinus cavity, responsible for breathing air in, filtering it and turning it to water, and then feeding it to the body here.
Mhm.
When you are working out, you are breathing heavy. You are exhaling, which is a
100%.
form of detox. So
Yeah,
people who don't think that this bullshit wearing mask thing isn't going to kill a lot more people than COVID actually will is even more twisted than, thinking that somebody making an educated guess about your health is logical.
I'll be honest. I only wear masks to keep other people, like, to make them feel good. But
That's me too.
so I did a bad job on this part. I've had a lot of people looking forward to this podcast. So can you please
Yeah.
kind of lay out what it is you do for the people that will be
Oh,
listening to this? Yeah.
sure. Sure. So I am considered a holistic provider through cold laser lymphatic drainage. And even as a holistic provider, I find sometimes you have to describe what that means.
Yeah.
So the difference between a holistic provider and a Western physician or Western medicine is that in Western medicine separates symptoms from the rest of the system. That is impossible to do. As a holistic provider, we have to find out what the origin of the symptoms are, which means we have to look at the whole picture. Okay, you may have high blood pressure, but what is it that is causing the high blood pressure?
Right.
That's what a holistic person does. A
Right.
Western doc would be like, oh shit, you got high blood pressure, take this. You
Yeah. Here's
can't
high blood pressure medicine.
you can't fucking do that. So as a holistic provider, and there are many of us, some of us, all of us do different modalities in holistic therapies.
Mhm.
For me, I specialize in what's called cold laser, high frequency reset of the body. And why do people need to know that's important?
Yeah, tell us.
Because we're fucking electricity.
Mhm.
Right. We're energy. This thing that we can touch on the outside is only a signal flag that tells us where the short circuits are on the inside. And people are like, Camille, we're not electricity. Bullshit. Because if you take off your shoes and walk across a carpet and you shock somebody,
Right.
that shock is the energy of a human. That's what our body is on the inside.
Right.
So I specialize in the same type of high frequency that the body is on the inside. I use that same type of high frequency to reset the body, and the body fucking takes care of itself.
So basically, to dumb it down for stupid people, you hit factory reset on people. Basically, you just hit the factory
Thank you.
reset.
Hello. Thank you. Hit factory reset. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what I do.
So like you remember I was one of your patients. I only went once because I need to go more. I know, but just even that one
Yeah.
time, I felt better ever since that one time. And it's like I never knew shit about that. I mean, I've had sinus issues my whole life, and I didn't you explained to me more in 1 hour than the doctors I went to surgery for my sinuses told me.
See, and thank you for that. And that's because they're trained. Med schools are run and taught by big pharma. So a lot of the times people want to blame the doctors. A lot of times it's not their fucking fault.
Right.
They are simply trained to
Yeah, they don't know any
memorize.
better.
Exactly. They're not taught to connect the dots, right? They're not taught about, so they're not taught about the lymphatic system. And that's crucial too, because what I said is the lymphatic system. Nobody ever hears about the lymphatic system. What do they hear about? They hear about the immune system. The immune system isn't a separate system. What gives the body immunity is the system that's called the lymphatic system that detoxes the entire fucking body. A state of detox gives the body immunity. That's what the immune system is.
So dive into the lymphatic system a bit more, because I don't know if you ever told you this. I took sports medicine, and when I took sports medicine, we very rarely touched on the lymphatic system. But granted, it is a different type of medicine, but still, we kind of acknowledged it and moved on.
Sure. So a lot of the times when people hear about anything regarding the lymphs, they hear about lymph nodes, right? These nodes. So what people need to really understand, lymph nodes don't just hang out in the fucking body. They sit on a system like Christmas lights that starts here. The body has a filter that starts in the throat. This is where the body gets its food and its air. If you hit somebody in the fucking throat right here, you will kill them. That's because this is where the body begins to live. So the lymphatic system starts in the throat, crosses across the clavicle, goes down under the underarms, down the sides of the flanks, all the way down to the feet, and then pulls all that toxic shit back up behind the reproductive organs into the kidney to detox through the urine.
Jesus Christ. So it makes the whole fucking trip around before it even comes out?
That's right. So the fact that we are sedentary and sitting all the time, guess what people are getting? Fibroids, prostate issues, pain. That's because the minute we fucking sit down, we collapse the immune system 50%. So if the body is trying to pull a shitload of toxin back up behind the reproductive organs through the kidneys, but we're sitting, guess what happens? That area, that abdominal cavity becomes a fucking dumping site. And then all problems begin at that point.
Would that be kind of like the same concept of like a water hose, and like as soon as you kind of bend it, it just kind of all builds up right there?
How about that perfect fucking analogy?
Look at your
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's fucking crazy though. Like you don't hear about that shit. Nobody ever tells you about that shit. Ever.
Nope. And guess what? Thank you for that analogy, because I'm gonna steal that shit.
That's all you. That's all you.
That was perfect. That was perfect.
Like, so your dad, but all right. So let's backtrack it. Like your dad was a doctor, right, or a physician, correct?
All three of my parents are actually physicians. My biological father passed, but all three, my stepfather too, all of my parents are physicians. All of them.
So is that kind of what led you into getting into kind of, I mean, I know technically you're not a physician, but is that kind of what led you to get into the field of medicine?
What's weird is that no, it's not. And that's the other thing people have to understand about their purpose in this place. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your purpose doesn't come till you're fucking late in age. Like this purpose that I do now, my purpose, I didn't really hit till I was like 40, right? So when I was in college, we assumed going to college that we were going to be doctors, right? Just because, I mean, that's whatever. But when I got to college and took the first biology course, I was like, oh no, that's not me. Cause I don't like blood. I don't like pus. I don't like all that shit. I don't like tissue. I don't like any of that stuff. Gross. So believe it or not, in 2009, my mother asked me, I was living in Philly. She asked me to come back and help her open and run her spa. Mm-hmm. So we ran a spa together. And the machine that I use to do the lymphatic drainage right now was introduced to us in 2009 as a way to aesthetically improve the body without surgery. Mm-hmm. But when we went to go buy the machine, the doctor who created this machine was a European naturopath. He was a naturopathic physician, which is another holistic doctor. And in 2009, the word inflammation was not a key word. But when we trained with him down in Florida, he kept saying to me, you have to understand the inflammatory response of the body. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it was noted, whatever. The end of that year, my biological father was diagnosed with metastatic pancreatic cancer. Okay. And so I was like, you know what, fuck this, which means it just passed from the pancreas to the colon. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm about to study what this whole thing, cancer, is. What does this mean? And I pulled out his medical books, my mom's, my stepfather's, and amazingly, I kept seeing that fucking word again, inflammation. And I said, whoa. Cancer is inflammation of the cells, but I got a machine that uninflames the body. I wonder if I could use this on my dad. I would take the machine to his house, and I promise you, I would touch him right here, and instantaneously, he would fucking feel better. And I was like, okay, wait, okay, hold on. So that means if I know how to affect the lymph system, and the lymph system is inflammation, at that point, it was all study. I started trying shit on me, trying shit on my friends for pain and whatever, hair loss, weight loss. It didn't matter. Everything worked using the same fucking system. And then the universe came full circle. And in 2013, I had a client who introduced me, a cancer patient who introduced me to Dr. Sabi. And at that point, it was all she wrote. I never met him personally. She would call and we would talk to him while I was treating her over the phone. And he would always say to me, Camille, you have to get rid of the mucus. And I was like, but the body is lined with mucus. And he kept saying the excess. Once he cued that for me, and I connected that with the fucking lymph system, I created this facial to open up the body. And guess what? The body teaches me still every day. The body teaches all of us if we just slow down and pay attention.
That's fucking crazy. Like, because I've always felt like this even growing up, that doctors don't ever really fix shit unless it's like bone surgery. Like, my thing is, and this is how I feel about everything. I feel like Western medicine, like when it comes to medicine, period, I don't feel like we should all be over to the left of Western medicine. Because like there's some things that Western medicine does do. That's indisputable. They do a lot of great shit, but don't do everything. But that same thing goes back to holistic healers. Holistic healers do a lot of great shit, but they don't do everything. So instead of them being on two opposite ends, they need to flow together. But we don't have that.
No. And if you think about what happened before Western medicine really became a thing, back in ancestral times, hospitals were only used for trauma. If a limb got cut off or, any of that type shit. Right. But everything else was there was one doctor in every community and he treated everybody with the same shit, or he would tell them to go outside and pick it. It wasn't until Rockefeller found a way to make money off of creating these medications that all of a sudden, all of us now got to go see fucking doctors.
Right. Like that shit's so fucking criminal to me. Like it's fucking criminal. Honestly, it really fucking is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And you know what's worse is that insurance companies have now been allowed to become more of a doctor than the actual fucking doctors. So the doctors can't practice anymore because the insurance company will say, oh, yeah, you can't do that. Not doctors, the fucking insurance company will say, oh yeah, you can't do that. And if you do that, we're not going to pay you.
Our medical system is fucked with no Vaseline.
So if we, and I'm so glad you said that, because if we just paid attention to the fact that we are the country with the highest COVID deaths and the highest COVID rates, yet we're the only fucking country with big pharma. If we don't think that's a problem, because I'll say this, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to hear me say this.
Say that shit.
COVID is not killing us. Whatever was killing us before fucking COVID is killing us. COVID just speeds that shit up.
I agree. No, so you even said it. We're the only country with big pharma, and we're the country with the highest fucking COVID deaths. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, we are the most obese country in the fucking world.
Not just fucking obese. Not just obese. We're the meanest, the most fucking addictive. We die the fastest. All of that shit. All of that is affected by us being on a shitload of meds, right? A shitload of meds. And it's all planned, because let's go down this road real quick and you're going to be like, oh shit, Camille, hold on one second.
Take it. I'll get my hat.
When people think about what COVID is, COVID is a combination of fucking viruses we've already had. It is SARS, it's H1N1, and it's fucking HIV, right? Those are all, when you take a COVID test, there is no COVID test. It's a SARS COVID test. This has already been out. It's already been planned. It's already been put together. Now, think about what the fuck you've seen lately on TV. And I don't really watch TV, but sometimes it's on the background, in the background. And today when I was talking to a client, I realized what was happening. They've been running these crazy, illogical fucking commercials about these HIV PrEP drugs. And I'm like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Why the prevalence of
I don't even know what the fuck that. I never heard that shit.
Exactly. So apparently now they've got people thinking that there's a drug that they can take that will lower their risk of catching HIV, which is stupid as fuck, because that would mean you would either have to be a soothsayer or God to know what my chance was to get HIV and then know whether or not that. Exactly.
Honestly.
Exactly. But watch what happens when this COVID is over. Watch what happens. Mark my words that HIV is suddenly going to make a really big reintroduction into this fucking country. And it's diabolical. It is like science and logic don't live in the same space. They can't. It is impossible. Science was created to try and explain creation because man wasn't smart enough to create man. We never will understand that shit. But what they are doing, and I mean, when I say they, I mean the families that are responsible for the LLC that America fucking is. That's the other thing people need to remember. America is and always has been a business. It was founded as a business. There is no love of the people and all that shit that we have been confused to think all these years. Trump brought that shit out. He didn't start it. He just took the little veil off and said, remember people, what we are. Everything about this country is about business because America is a fucking business.
100%. I 100% agree. Look. You're going to get my conspiracy fucking wheels going. I'm going to put that shit. I'm throwing that shit out the window. You're going to ask Ayla about that. I am a fucking nut.
Oh, but listen, but see, let's go there then. Why do they call us conspiracy theorists? It's not a conspiracy if there are factual things that are happening that you're looking at like, okay, y'all aren't connecting these fucking dots. It's only a conspiracy to the people who are too asleep to fucking see it.
Yeah, that shit freaks me out. Like once I start connecting some dots, it sounds dumb, but I gotta turn it off. I'm like, all right, bro, come on.
No, you do.
I was like, I can't.
You do.
I can't.
Because guess what else I'm about to say? COVID is being sprayed in the fucking air. COVID is contagious. It is not the contagion that they say it is, or that they're trying to get us to believe. Otherwise, you wouldn't have fucking families in the same house and one or two people have it and everybody else doesn't. And you could just like quarantine.
I've heard multiple cases of that. And I've always thought that was weird as well. Cause I was like, y'all are telling us that it's this highly contagious killer. Like you said, like in my house, I had it. And my mom, who is super fucking susceptible because she has a lot of other health issues, if she caught it, she would have died. But granted, like I wasn't in close proximity with her, but she was bringing me shit to my room. And if it was that contagious, it should have got.
Hello. So I went back to October of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And because I always pay attention to when they are spraying a lot of chemtrails in the air, because one, if you notice, right after chemtrails, the weather will change drastically. But in October, and I could go back to that shit on IG, both here and in Atlanta, they were spraying chemtrails over the water so heavy that I fucking stopped on the Wilson Bridge and took pictures and video. And I said in that post, do y'all see these chemtrails up in the air? Let me tell you what that's going to fucking mean. November and December, people are going to be super fucking sick. And what I was talking about, and what I was talking about was like flu sick.
Yeah.
But what the fuck happened in November?
That's
People
apparently
started getting COVID. People got COVID before they called it COVID. That shit happened in November. And I said that people were going to get sick because you could see it in the fucking air.
So I've heard talk of that. I didn't hear that it was chemtrails. I thought it was just Republican bullshit. But apparently, like, no, seriously though, like I heard Republicans saying that Democrats made this shit up, like it's something they created. So are you telling me that this is like they did fucking create that shit?
Absolutely. And you could go on, NASA did a whole report on it. It's a whole, chemtrails is a fucking thing, and it is real. And if people pay attention, you notice that they spray it a lot of times over where military families live. They spray it over things like water, like the Potomac River, where there are masses of people. They're spraying chemtrails in the fucking air.
Chemtrails are weird to me. I see, like I used to be like chemtrails used to really freak me out. And then the older I got,
They should.
I thought they were just plumes, like plumes from afterburners or some shit from some of these planes.
Yeah, no, because commercial planes don't have afterburn like that. That's the other thing. They're expecting that it's us. It's that it would be commercial. I mean, that we would think it's commercial. It's not. They're actually fucking chemical trails that sit in the clouds, and you notice they make these vertical striations in the air. Clouds don't form like that.
No, yeah, no, that's if that's not obvious to people, that's their own fucking issue. But yes, I mean, I was a fucking kid and know that clouds don't look like that. Let's be honest. But so we veered off a little bit. We need to go back to this conspiracy trail. But so
Okay, yeah.
with the training, like, do you have to be? Are you certified? Do you have to get certified to do what you do, or do any schooling?
So I am certified as a lymphatic drainage specialist. You have to be certified to use the machine that I use because of the way that it was created. So even for this doctor who created it, unfortunately in America, you got to be careful what you fucking say that helps people, which makes me ill, but whatever. So to use this particular machine you have to be certified as a lymphatic drainage specialist. Okay. Now, is there a shitload that I can teach people on how to start their own wellness track without them being certified? Absolutely. And that's part of what I do in my educational series. But the other thing is, because I am certified, I can certify others to do it as well.
So how do you go about getting certified? Do you just have to train under somebody else that's certified? Do you have to go to school?
Yep. You have to train for this particular instance. You have to train for however long we put the certification together. For me, it was a couple weeks. Okay. But we simply put the program together, and I put programs together that are really based on who I'm teaching. Right. Because people who have a background in energy work, because this is energy work, it's energy, are going to have a different type of course than people who are just coming in off the street. And I want to teach everybody, because we are giving our power away so fucking fast. Right. That we have no idea that's what we're doing.
So is this certification regulated? Like, do you have to go somewhere to get licensed, or is it just like, hey,
no,
certify me?
How fantastic is that? So here's a kind of great thing. The government and they will, because they're fucking sick. The government has yet to either find a way or even had any time to try and regulate detox modalities. Mm-hmm. So in order to stay, and I don't mean under the radar, like we're not supposed to be doing this. I say under the radar because we have another business called the FDA, and they're just fucked up, and they, will always try to take away things that are beneficial for us. Mm-hmm. So in doing what I do in this there is no regulatory agency for the use of high frequency cold lasers or other type of lasers.
Like you said, it's more the holistic realm, right?
Correct. So they haven't figured out yet how to regulate the holistic world. Mm-hmm. They're going to try and find out, right?
Yeah, they're going. They're definitely going to.
And yeah, they haven't yet.
I hope that they do in a way that'll be beneficial to everybody, but Lord knows once they stick their hands in it, it's not going to be holistic. It could be the same way
No.
some shit with a holistic stamp on it.
Yep. 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 So it's right now it's a great time for people to learn the type shit that we do in the holistic world. And I don't just mean me. I mean people who specialize in certain type of lymphatic massage, acupuncturists, chiropractic medicine. I mean, all of these things essentially allow the body to be in a state where the body heals itself. So that's why the government can't regulate it. Because to me, I don't listen, I've seen the body do shit that nobody would believe unless you were the patient on my table. I don't even,
You got some cool shit on your Instagram. You got a lot of fucking
thank
nice
you.
shit on your Instagram.
Thank you.
There's no denying it. Like you literally have
Yeah.
proof on your Instagram. What's the craziest
Yeah.
you've seen?
So, okay. So I always tell this story because it was wild as shit. And I was like, okay, so this is nuts. So somebody sent me a woman who wanted to come to me for body contouring, right?
Mhm.
And so she comes to me and I'm looking at her and I'm like, what do you want contoured? Because it was clear she worked out, but she had like a little bulge in the belly.
Mhm.
And I said to her, so what do you need? She said, I just want my stomach to go away. So
Mhm.
I started to put my hand on her belly. And that's a big part, D, of what I do. I feel a lot of shit in the body with my hands. So I'm feeling her stomach, and clearly to me, what I was feeling was like scar tissue. And
Mhm.
I said to her, have you ever had surgery before? And she said, yeah, I had a little laser lipo some months ago. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is a little scar tissue in here. So don't worry about it, no big deal. So I did on her what I normally do on people who have post-operative scar tissue. And she comes back and she sees me 2 weeks later. And I asked her how her 2 weeks were. And she said, oh, they were great. I was having surgery. I was like, what the fuck? I said, you didn't tell me you had surgery. Why didn't you tell me you were having surgery? She was like, it was no big deal. She said, I'm trying to do in vitro. And the day before I saw you, they did a sonogram and I had a really big polyp in my abdomen that was taking up my whole abdomen. So they had to remove it before I did in vitro.
What's in? I don't. What the fuck's in vitro? I have no idea what that is.
In vitro is fertility. So she was trying to have a baby.
Oh, okay.
She was trying to have a baby. So I said, oh, well, that's awesome. I said, how did the surgery go? She said, it went great. She said, when they woke me from anesthesia and I asked the doctor how the surgery went, the doctor looked at me and goes, well, it went awesome because when we opened you up, there was nothing fucking there.
So wait a minute. So she got a sonogram before she saw you.
The day
the
before.
the day before she saw you.
The day before she saw me.
There was a polyp. She saw you, and then
Yep.
when she went, the polyp was gone.
Yep, and she got pregnant immediately.
Crazy.
She got pregnant immediately.
Polyps is what I had in my nose. That's what was fucking me up. I couldn't breathe for 2 years because of polyps.
So can we talk about that? Okay, let me let people hear this shit right here.
Tell us that shit.
Polyps, cysts, and tumors are all the same fucking thing. They are the same thing. It is like a little jelly mass of mucus and fluid in a cell or outside of a cell that just sits there. It's just fucking mucus. It's mucus.
Yeah, that I thought mine grew because of black mold. Because we were the house we were staying in, the landlord was a cunt. He was a cunty bastard, and like there was black mold growing. There was black mold growing in the crawl space. He didn't want to fix it, and then like for 2 years, I could not breathe. I couldn't taste food, and I couldn't breathe out my nose for 2 years straight.
Well, so you're actually right? Mm-hmm. It was attributable to the mold, but that goes back to explaining to people how the body works. Mm-hmm. So the body's lymphatic system. So what the body does when there's trauma, and mold is trauma. So let me say this first. People have to remember that not only are we electricity on the inside, that electricity is perfectly balanced and shrouded in mineral-based fucking salt water. Do you know what kind of incredible balance needs to fucking be in place for salt water to surround electricity without us short circuiting all the fucking time?
No, not at all.
Right. So when we talk about homeostasis or balance, that is why, because we have to keep the body from short circuiting. When the body has trauma, like breathing in something like a molecule of mold that is too big to be filtered, then the body says, oh shit, the lymphs say, that's trauma. We got to go rebalance. So how do we do that? It sends a bunch of fluid there, and that fluid mixes with the natural mucus to try to cushion the trauma. But remember, the lymph system is then supposed to pull that fluid and shunt it through the kidneys after the healing is done. But if we're not breathing any fucking oxygen in the air anymore, which we are not, then the body can't remove the fluid, and then it settles in the tissues. And then what do you have? A polyp that will eventually become scar tissue.
Yeah, like I said,
right?
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
My freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school, and until my junior year of high school. I could not breathe. Couldn't taste shit.
That was
brutal. But like, they didn't tell me that shit. They don't, like, literally, they had no idea. All they said was it's a polyp. I don't know what to fucking tell you. Surgery. That's what they said, basically.
Because that's what they're trained, right? They're trained in school. So even my parents, who have been physicians for 40 something years, even my mom will tell you, in medical school, they never heard about the lymph system. They never, ever were fucking taught. They just weren't taught. They were taught, you see a polyp, you operate. Right. But where does the polyp come from? Like, the holistic provider takes that to the next step. Okay, you have a polyp. 1, where is it? 2, what is that connected to? 3, where would it come from? And let's get the origin, not the symptom. Right. The symptom never comes without an origin.
They never asked me how I got it. Now that I think of it, they never asked me how I got a polyp. They just told me I had a polyp.
See, they never asked you if you were breathing in mold, if you had traveled to another country, if you had an injury. They never asked you shit.
That's fucking crazy. Like, that's It kind of sad to think about it like that. That's where our healthcare system is.
Yeah, that's where it is.
They just kind of throw a over it and be like, all right, see you next time.
That's where it is. So if we go, let's go to this. So I want people to also know this. The proof that we're no longer breathing oxygen is that COVID exists. Viruses and bacteria cannot live in oxygenated states, meaning if there was oxygen in the body flowing from the sinuses, then viruses couldn't exist. That's the whole point of homeostasis. The body has to balance. If the body is in balance, it cannot fucking get sick. It's impossible.
I didn't know that. You gotta remember, you're talking to an ape. I had no fucking, I didn't fucking know that at all. I didn't know shit about that.
But it's not, but see, you talk about you. The thing is, it's not you. It's everybody. Everybody, unless they somehow know better, which most of us don't. If you don't have a reason to know this, they're not going to teach us. Right. Nobody knows this shit. Right. Because if they did, people wouldn't be scared of COVID.
And with this whole COVID thing, one thing that pisses me off is, do you ever listen to the Joe Rogan podcast?
Yep.
That's my fucking guy. I fucking love Joe. He's like my idol. He's the reason I started a podcast. But like, legit, like, in there, he's had a couple doctors on to talk about vitamin D and how literally, like, the deficiencies in vitamin D are linked to people who have extremely severe COVID symptoms.
Correct. But so everybody can be on vitamin D.
They don't talk about that. They don't talk about exercise. Yeah. They don't talk about water, vitamin D.
Nope.
But like, I wasn't taking vitamin D until after I got COVID. But even before I got COVID, I was drinking at least a half gallon of water a day. I was in the gym at least 5 days a week, and I was taking vitamins. I would take a multivitamin, some shit for my joints, and fish oil, random shit, because I work out a lot. I like to stay optimal.
Right.
But like, ever since then, I implemented vitamin D. I still feel great, but you still don't hear about that shit.
Yeah. And you want to know how you avoid COVID? Well, one of the ways, because that's the other thing I need people to understand. Understand and know this. There are thousands of ways to get over COVID. Thousands of herbs, oils, plants. There are thousands of ways.
Oh yeah, tell
But
people
one of
some of
the
them.
Well, okay, let's talk about this. One, very easy. I'm going to say this first because it's the only medication I'm going to talk about. But one, people who are my doctor disciples, I call them doctor disciples because they don't take a piss unless the doctor says take a piss.
Oh my fucking Lord.
Yeah, right. So those people, if you want to go the medicine route, take a fucking baby aspirin every day and you will not get COVID. Now, for the more logical people, so let's talk about why COVID is what COVID is. So COVID is a virus, right? It's like the flu, it's a fucking virus. But remember what I said, the filter is responsible for filtering out viruses. If we test everybody in the world, most of us are going to fucking have COVID because we're going to test positive because we're breathing it in here.
Right.
However, remember, this is the first filter. So most of us are going to be positive here. But if you test here and you're positive, that's the problem. So the deal is, this is the filter.
Mm-hmm.
This filter must stay clear of excess mucus, and it will do what it needs to do to filter the virus, which means we have to keep this clear of excess mucus. That means high mineral intake, like sea moss, or doing a combination of sea moss. So the body in that salt water is made up of 102 minerals. A combination of sea moss, bladderwhack, and burdock root carry all 102 minerals. So we are supplementing our mineral base so that mucus is free flowing and doesn't stagnate in the throat.
I never heard of any of those.
Right. Of course, because they're not going to tell us that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, you just talked about it. Exercise is fucking crucial because people need to understand our exhaling is the way the body detoxes. Exhaling, peeing, feces, taking a shit, all of that is all detox, right? Mm-hmm. So when you are jumping up and down, doing what I call percussion type exercises, jogging, running in place, jumping jacks, jumping on a trampoline,
your
boxing,
moving up and down.
Right. When you do that, you are creating vibration in the water in the body. When you look at a cell under a microscope, what does the cell do? It vibrates. Mm-hmm. But if that cell is inflamed with excess mucus, it stops vibrating. And that's where the inflammation comes. That's why COVID replicates in the throat. So the idea is always exercise, high mineral intake, something as easy as taking some eucalyptus oil or frankincense oil or grapefruit oil or basil oil in your hands like this and rubbing that shit across your throat and your clavicle every day, COVID is gone. Putting Himalayan salt in your water to drink is high in minerals. That's why Himalayan salt is very important.
Yes, you're going to get into that.
Yes.
I know you love Himalayan salt.
No, salt is my best fucking friend, okay? Himalayan salt is, people need to, because people don't know what we're made of. We're made of that salt, right? So that's why, so let's go here. That's why people heal when they go to a Caribbean or a clean air place, because the sea is 0.4% sodium chloride, which is what Himalayan salt is. We are 0.4% Himalayan salt. We are saltwater creatures. So when we go to a beach, a clean beach, or a Caribbean that has natural salt water like a sea, and you have clean sun that does not have to come through nasty fucking UV rays like in America, then we essentially, in the Caribbean or in any place that's got those attributes, we're sitting on the beach is us sitting inside of our own Himalayan salt lamp. We are literally healing, particularly if we're Black, right? Because if we're Black, melanin takes the sun and can uses it as a conductor to heal on the inside. So salt is crucially important because we're already fucking made of salt.
Right. One thing I wanted to say when you were talking about the detoxing and getting active, the sauna. I don't know if you. I fucking love the sauna. Those heat shock proteins, like I feel detoxed like a motherfucker after the sauna, and it always makes my body feel great after a hard ass workout. Seriously,
Yes. So that's why people should get in a sauna, right? Because what do we do when we're in a sauna? We sweat.
sit there and
Sweat,
sit.
right, is a form of detox. So we are detoxing as we sweat, which is why exercise is important. And infrared light stimulates cellular activity. So remember, we're talking about the vibrating of the cells.
Yeah,
Infrared, LED light, UV light stimulates cellular activity. So dumbass Trump talked about UV light and COVID.
hmm,
Even though he sounded stupid as shit the way he said it, he was right.
right.
UV light kills bacteria and viruses. So does infrared,
Yeah.
LED. And so that's why saunas are awesome. Yeah.
See, my sauna doesn't even have a UV light. My sauna's in the dark, but just like so, I need to try another sauna with UV light. But like even just breathing in a sauna, it helps your fucking lungs.
Exactly.
Like I always feel
Ex-
it's a different type of air you're breathing, so it's good. It's a bit difficult, but like it fucking helps.
well, that's because that heat also thins out mucus.
Yeah.
So you're
Yes.
thinning out mucus, which increases oxygen to the body, and you're sweating out the toxins through the skin.
And even
So
if people
yeah.
don't
So
have a sauna, they can do the what's it called? The steams. The steams.
yeah,
Like they put a bunch of stuff in a pot, heat it up. When it's done, throw a towel over your head, breathe it in.
exactly. And exactly everything that is beneficial to the body can be and should be done at home by each individual. Like when people come to see me, I don't do shit without the client. I
Mm.
can't help anybody unless I have a conversation with you about your life because you're the one who lives in your body 24/7, 365. I don't. Your doctor doesn't. So I can't help you unless you, as your own doctor, help me to help you.
And it's extremely like evident that you seriously want to help people because you're willing to give people tips throughout over the phone. Like, here, do this, do this, do this.
Oh yeah, and because I realize that's how much trouble we're fucking in, right?
Right.
We're if people don't get it, I I don't even want to think about there what the fuck is going to happen after this vaccine. I don't even
Oh,
I I first of all, y'all are going to lie and say that the vaccine didn't kill Hank Aaron. Okay, that's bullshit.
who the fuck is Hank?
That's
Is that the doctor from Florida?
no, that's somebody else. Hank Aaron is the baseball player, the black
Oh,
baseball player.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought you were talking about like present day stuff. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, he got his vaccine, the fifth, and died what 2 weeks later. So this
Is this
this
doctor or Hank Aaron?
Hank Aaron,
Okay, he got a vaccine back then, like on the 5th.
yep,
Okay, well,
did. So
okay.
the doctor in Miami, he died too.
So that's some weird shit because I don't like I said, you said you watch Joe Rogan. I don't know how often you watch it. So
Yeah,
I was watching the podcast. I listen to him every day. I fucking love the guy. He was on a podcast with Tulsi Gabbard, and he was telling her they were talking about Google, and he was telling her how he saw. I think he saw it on Instagram. I don't know where he saw it. I saw it on Instagram about the doctor in Florida that got it and died from the COVID vaccine. He said he had tried to look it up on Google, and nothing pulled up. He tried everything in the fucking book and nothing pulled up until he used another search engine called like DuckDuckGo or some shit and fucking found it. Like that's some pretty
yeah.
dangerous shit if you're keeping that information from people. Like,
Well, not okay. So yeah, so let's go there. So even as basic as we talk about free will, we don't have free will to say shit. Because if you notice that if you put something in your IG story, they will decide whether or not they'll share it to Facebook
yeah, that's shadow
as well.
banning. The shadow banning.
Yeah. And they're doing it. And so what they're doing with this vaccine is when they created television and the internet, they knew exactly what it was going to do, right? And I want people to understand how crucial it is for you to fucking separate yourself from what they are telling you or not telling you. And I'm going to tell you why. And I need people to pay attention to this, like for real, for real. Being human is a fucking superpower because we have a brain. A human fucking brain is a superpower that we only use like 2% of,
Can
right?
be. People use it, like you said, people fucking utilize it.
Exactly. So, what do they call this right here? They call this third eye, right?
Ah, the pineal gland. Yes, ma'am.
There is a reason that they call that third eye that people don't understand. This right here is the intersection of three of the most important sinus cavities in the face. And if this doesn't work, then nothing in the body works. This also controls, because it controls airflow to the brain, it controls the pupils, it controls what people then send as a signal visually into the brain. The body cannot stand up, can't even fucking lay down, can't scratch, can't do anything without a signal from the brain. Conversely, the body will only do what the brain fucking tells it. So if you are constantly watching the news about COVID this, you're going to die, you need a vaccine, you are using your visual cortex, which feeds the frequency of the brain. That brain then feeds the body. Your body must do what the brain tells it.
Right.
So for me, people laugh at me because they're like, Camille, you're not scared of COVID. Fuck no. Why not? Because my body can't get sick. And they're like, what do you mean? Because my fucking brain tells my body there is no possibility for my body to get sick, which
100%.
means my body can't.
That shit happens all the time. That shit happens. That right there, what you just said, is literally the definition of the placebo effect. Literally. Like I tell Ayla all the time that I have a God immune system. I very rarely get sick. Very rarely.
Like
Extremely
it's not that is the definition of that manifestation. Like, and that is the power of the human brain.
Powerful.
It controls everything that is a part of your being, your energy field, you create that. Mm-hmm. So what is actually making COVID a contagion is the fear, right? That's why the 24-hour news cycle shows that shit all the time, because they know the more people watch, the more scared they'll get. And when you're scared, if we at baseline vibrate at 528 fucking megahertz of frequency, for us to just be normal, right? Mm-hmm. Fear vibrates at a frequency of 19 goddamn hertz. When you're scared, you're already fucking close to dead. So right. They know that. So they're affecting the frequency and making people sick because people are feeding that to their body.
I never looked at it like that. The way I looked at it was, and I attribute this back to like the Patriot Act in 9/11. I thought that they were, and I still think this fear mongering, that they're doing it to people. And then in return, when people get super scared, they don't like to look at themselves in the mirror. They look to the government, ask them for help. And then that's how we end up giving power to them that we'll never get back. That's what I think they were doing. I still think that. I don't give a fuck. I'll stand by that shit.
That's exactly fucking correct. And they know it. And they've been doing it since the creation of that shit. And we are falling in line. How do you create robots, a future of robots? You kill their goddamn brain power. If people can't use the brain, you can control them like that. 100%. Fuck that.
That's why they don't, like you said, that's why they don't tell people how to deal with COVID. Like, see the looks I get when I tell people I go to the gym. Like, you still go to the gym during COVID? I'm like, yeah, that's why that's why I was good when I got that shit. That's why I'm gonna keep fucking going.
But you know what's crazy about that? They'll say that to you, but then you'll take your motherfucking ass to a restaurant and be like, oh, I'm gonna pull my mask down and eat, but I'm gonna pull it back up when I go to the bathroom, or I'm gonna sit on this patio, which is enclosed. What the?
Me and Ayla talk about that shit all the time. Like, we tried to go to the Dave & Buster's yesterday for the Conor McGregor fight. And he said it was like an hour wait. And I was like, me and they looked around, we're like, dude, there's like 2 fucking booths open. I understand they're doing the social distancing, but most places usually do one seat or another.
Yep.
Again, they did it just to make people feel better. But like
Yep.
I've been looking at it, and I've always looked at it this way. I'm like, look, if it's as contagious as people say, you wearing a mask until you sit down is not going to do a goddamn thing. Look at California, for example. They have like one of the, if not the most strict lockdown. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody that will correct me if I'm wrong, please go ahead. They have the worst fucking rates of COVID in the US.
Yep, pretty much.
That's
Pretty
a
much.
fucking,
And you saw that they just had a 300,000 vaccine recall in California
I
for the
did
Moderna
not.
vaccine. Yeah.
Why? For what?
What they call allergic reactions. What the fuck?
With that palsy shit? Because I saw like 3, like, and I saw those first cases. There's like 3 people. The first 3 people that got it got fucking palsy and it went away. Like nobody ever talked about that shit.
Yeah. Oh, of course not. And they're not. I mean, so one of the things I like to remind my clients that are scared, it's one of the two. We're either talking about a fatal contagion or we're talking about sending kids to fucking school.
All right,
Those two things don't fucking live together.
It makes no sense. And like, there's a lot of people that talk about it saying, if it was as like, it kills people. Yes. Look at the people it's killing. Mostly people that were probably going to die anyway.
That's correct.
I don't mean to sound insensitive, but like it's like, okay, they were already going a path due to whatever the fuck they were dealing with at age. It's like, okay, we can see that. Like, it's not like the fucking bubonic plague where anybody that caught that shit was murked.
Yep.
Anybody that caught the bubonic plague was fucking offed.
Yep.
Instantly. It was like no fans or buts about it. This whole thing has just been weird to me. You know, it's like I didn't give a shit about it when it first came out. I was a quote unquote essential worker when it happened. I didn't wear a mask until fucking July because these places started mandating it, and I was like, I'm not gonna be a dickhead. I'm not gonna be that guy. It's like, fuck you, you're fucking. It's my civil liberties. It ain't that serious to me.
But here's the other thing that and people are like, Camille, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Bullshit. Because if this was a contagion like that, big business would have stopped. They're still building homes. Right. They're still selling the fuck out of homes. They're still having people buy cars and they're making cars. Right. Big business has not stopped. If this was as bad as they say, big business would have stopped too. Shit ain't stopped.
They need to tell people like, hey, we fucked up. Like, yes, it's bad, but it's not as bad as we thought. But they haven't retracted at all. They just kind of said, fuck it, we got to run with it now.
They won't.
And I feel like that's bad because there's a lot of people, like you said, that do not move unless they are told to.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yep. And there's going to be a lot more of them now that a lot of them are in the fucking house.
It is what it is. I mean, look, I'm going to keep going to the gym. I'm going to keep going to jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Now, one thing I don't do is I still don't go out to clubs. Specifically because these clubs is like I'm face to face with people. Great. Yeah. The reason I don't want to get it again is because I don't want to fucking stay in my room for 2 weeks. That's fucking boring. That's boring as fuck.
But remember, you can come to the salt chamber and then be like, COVID, fucking out of here.
I need to fucking go there. I want to ask you this. So my mother, has fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure you know what that is. Unexpected. Mm-hmm. And all they do is give her drugs. She doesn't take them. They're giving her all sorts of painkillers. Just here, take this, take this, take this. So my mom has fibromyalgia. She has high cholesterol. She has, I don't know if she still has stomach ulcers, but she has stomach ulcers. She's got a bad fucking ankle. At this point, like she deals with the pain. She's a fucking thug. She's just like, whatever. It is what it is.
Right.
Is there anything you could do for her in terms of like with your holistic healing?
Of course. Absolutely. Because believe it or not, all that shit is related to the same problem. So I'm glad you actually said that so that I can show this for people. Remember what I said. Everything starts in the head. Mm-hmm. Every organ, every system needs oxygen in order to function. Mm-hmm. Oxygen only comes from one place. So fibromyalgia is a condition that they call when you have increased inflammation in the body that they can't get rid of, right?
They don't know where the fuck it came from. They're just like,
right. But that's what the lymph system is for. But remember, You're your mother's son.
Right.
You came to me with severe sinus fucking problems.
Right.
Your mom's got them too. So she cannot, and I guarantee if I look at her, what I call the triangle, where the head sits in the neck,
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you her triangle here is thick, right? And when people have thick triangles here, when their neck slopes up or balances out like this instead of sloping down, their triangle is full of mucus. When your triangle is full of mucus, the cells in the body can't breathe. That is what they call fibromyalgia. You also said she had stomach ulcers.
Yeah.
Ulcers, digestive problems, acid reflux are a result of the stomach not being able to have enough air for the cells to function and detox.
I need to get Ayla to see because she's got the acid reflux. I got a friend who has stomach ulcers. I forgot she has some type of disease that causes it, but she's getting ready to see you as well. She
Okay.
wants to see you as well. I'm gonna send her this podcast once we're done, or once it's uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like the stuff. So what all have you helped with? Like what's the like the crazy shit people have come to you that like basically that they said like you're my last hope, and like what have you done for that?
Okay, so let's list all the things that people have gotten relief from.
Mm-hmm.
Fibromyalgia, MS, cancer, polyps, brain tumors, vision problems, hearing loss, of course, hair, skin disorders that people, severe psoriasis and eczema that doctors have told them they can't heal, people's inability to walk.
You helped with all
So,
this?
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. Is this stuff that people could find on your Instagram where you've like linked it to?
Or on the website. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
Wow.
when I say the body is fucking incredible, the body is, even some of the things that I see on the table
Mm,
still shock the fuck out of me. So because of what I have seen, there is nothing that anybody could ever get or be diagnosed with that I would ever say, oh yeah, I don't know if that can go away. If you are still breathing, the body can be reset. And that is real and fucking factual. And it will never fail. For those people, and this is why I'm so focused on sinuses, because when things are beneficial for the body, the results come immediately.
mm,
Nobody has ever gotten off my table and said that they don't feel better and feel like they're like a new person. Is
right,
Camille a fucking superhero? No. However, the body is amazing. And if you simply know how to read it,
right.
you know how to reset it.
Yeah,
And
like
so
I said, you're basically pushing factory reset. That's basically what you're doing. You just know
on a
where you just know all the right buttons to push.
on a system that, I don't care if you believe in God, Buddha, whoever you believe in, you have to understand that whatever or whoever you believe that was supernatural and more than human. So we cannot sit and think that humans who weren't smart enough to create us can actually fucking help us without our innate ability on the inside. It's impossible. It is impossible. And if you believe in the Bible and you believe that God created us and gave us life, and I say that because people believe in a lot of shit.
Mhm.
God did one thing to give us life. He blew oxygen into third eye. That's all he fucking did to give us life. So life operates on oxygen, and oxygen only comes into one place in the body. That's in the fucking nose. So when I say this right here is like third eye is real, even for people who believe in the metaphysical, they already know that.
It's been
But when I
proven
say
that the
this,
third eye is real, like straight
yeah,
up
true.
proven.
True. But when I say it is here that starts life, then it's here that you have to go to reset life to.
Right. So I wanted to ask you this like because I've been introduced to a lot of different things just on the internet, just listening new information.
Sure.
So you're all about holistic healing, which I agree with. I would 100% agree with.
Yeah.
That's I feel like we should take it upon ourselves to heal ourselves for the most part. Unless you
Yeah.
like you said, You break your fucking arm, tree sap ain't gonna fix that shit. Like you gotta go to the doctor. But like, what do you think about microdosing? Like microdose, because I know you're big with the CBD. So do you actually have used, or recommend patients using THC? Have you ever looked into like microdosing, like psilocybin or anything like that?
So everybody should be on some form of cannabis. And what people don't know is that the body makes its own cannabis. We make that shit in the body. We just don't make enough of it. And for women, the whole point in breastfeeding when you have a child is that there is cannabis in breast milk that gives immunity to your babies. So everybody
You
should be.
just touched on something fucking big. I'm gonna hop on that right quick.
Go ahead.
I was breastfed. I was
Right?
And back in the day, they told my mother when I was born that I would never grow up to be a full size, be as big as I should be. I'll be underdeveloped because she breastfed me and didn't put me on motherfucking Similac, whatever the fuck that shit is. Now,
Wow.
and I noticed this in high school. I did my own little poll in high school. There's always a few people that always got sick, and I would always ask them, "Hey, random, were you breastfed?" Like, no, 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 I was on formula. Oh, okay, okay. Hey, were you breastfed? No, I was on formula. Meanwhile, me never got sick. I was breastfed.
Hello.
They never talk about that either. But it's something I noticed back in high school.
So if you look at in the body, if you look at the lymphatic system, which I just told y'all was to detox,
Yeah.
and the endocannabinoid or the ECS system, which contains the receptors for cannabis, the
Mhm.
two motherfucking systems sit on top of each other like this, one to detox, one to feed back. If we have receptors in the body, we must fucking feed them for the body to be well, right? We
Right.
have a lot of cannabis receptors in the body because the body needs them, which means we're supposed to be making our own, but we don't. So, absolutely, everybody should be on cannabis. Now, there are hundreds of different cannabinoids.
Mhm.
And when you're talking about a good thing, it's always best to have more of a good thing than not. So, yes, I think that people should have um, cannabis that has multiple cannabinoids in it, THC and CBD or CBDA, CBDG, whatever. But for people who are not able to take the THC side
Yeah.
because they work for the government or they get tested, whatever, it doesn't mean that they are not to take a straight CBD cannabinoid product.
So
They absolutely should.
so I've tried a few different types of CBD. I've tried the gummies and I tried smoking a little CBD joint I bought from the store.
Yeah.
None of it. I didn't feel anything off of any of it. I don't know if I'm not taking enough because I'm a big dude or what.
So, no, you're taking shit. So, that's the
Eh,
other thing. People have to be really, you have to have a company who understands the processing of cannabis. You cannot, you have to have somebody like my uncle has been an orthopedic surgeon for 50 years. He
mhm.
is a brilliant physician. He farms and processes his own cannabis in Maine. And his line is what I push to my clients
Yeah.
and what actually my parents give to their patients. But I will tell you this. Everybody who knows me knows I've smoked weed my whole life. I tell my mom, that's why I'm not sick. You know, I've been smoking weed forever.
Mhm.
But in terms of the CBD oil side, the product side, you must have a line that is triple lab processed. And what that means is they test that shit when it goes in the ground, they
Mhm.
test it again when they farm it, and they test it again before they bottle it. Those tests cannot differentiate between the three for it to be something that you should be taking. You must have a triple lab product. And if you can find a pure line, and this one that he has is one of the best ever. I mean, my clients feel a difference immediately, first dose.
Yeah.
So if you take it and you don't know what you're taking, a lot of the shit that's in stores and stuff is like, okay, it was planted as pure and processed. By the time it got to the by the time it got to where it was going, there was nothing in it.
Now, where can people get the line your uncle's products? Because
Sure. It's
you push
called
it a lot. Where can you get that from?
absolutely Daily Vitamin CBD.life is the website.
Okay.
I'm so glad he did. He just created a gel cap that's THC free.
Hmm.
And yeah, so for those people who get tested, take the gel caps. And he's got 1,500 milligram bottles of CBD. Most places you're going to find between 5 and maybe 1,000. He's
Mhm.
got 1,500 of pure, unadulterated CBD that allows people to feel a difference as they take it. You should be able to feel it. And I'm not saying all your symptoms are going to go away your first dose.
Right.
However, you should feel a relief from some of those symptoms the first time you take it.
So he's slanging
Quick
that good
dose.
shit.
Yes, good. He's slanging that great shit. Okay,
So what? So
great shit.
so you talked about the THC. What about? Have you ever looked into or heard of people microdosing psilocybin?
Yes, yes, yes. And I will say this, when we're talking about anything that people are macrodosing, microdosing, everybody, this is why it's important for people to really understand where their body is.
Mhm.
One thing about Americans, we love to do trendy shit, right?
Right.
We'll read some articles and be like, oh, well, this person took this and did this and that worked. However, is that person you? Do you exercise the way that person does?
Right.
Do
Right.
you
Right.
drink the same amount of water that person does? So what I want to tell people to do is take a really close assessment of
Right.
your own body. If you can say, I feel like, then you're fucking right. I
Mhm.
mean, you're the one who's living in this.
Right.
So you need to understand, okay, do I sleep a lot? Do I drink enough water? Do I feel crazy when I wake up in the morning? And then you take your base symptomatology and then do your fucking research.
Right.
Because people can macrodose that all day and it works fucking wonderfully for them. And
Right.
then other people can take it and almost die. It
Yeah.
depends on
It all
where.
depends on everybody. That's like
Exactly.
the same thing with the weed, because like some people, so which is bullshit. There's quote unquote studies that it gives people schizophrenia, but what they don't understand is that these people were already schizophrenic, but that the weed just kind of showed them that they were like, yeah, bro, this is you. Like, you know,
Not only that, the studies that they did on that probably had fucking PCP in the weed.
ugh,
What do they call that? The dippers or whatever that shit is.
I have
I
no fucking idea.
I have a schizophrenic client who has been on my cousin's CBD for a number of months.
Uh-huh.
But the first fucking time he took it, his mom called me and said, "Oh my God, Camille, his mind was fucking clear
This is
today."
CBD.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Word.
Yeah, he's schizophrenic. She said, but the first time he fucking took that shit, he was clear in his head. People, if you're not growing your own weed and you're trying to smoke it, you don't know what's in that shit.
Yeah, that's also a big problem because, like, so I mean, honestly, we need to be honest with people. Nobody's gonna stop smoking weed. At this point, the government should just tell people how to take it and tell people the truth that look, weed is not for everybody. It's
Yep.
not.
It's
Some
not.
people can't handle the THC, especially
Yeah.
now, because what people are smoking now is not what their parents smoked back in the fucking 80s.
That's exactly right, D. That's exactly right. One, because we don't fucking have clean soil in the United States.
No, we
So
do
you
not.
don't even know what the fuck you're smoking
It's
because
all
you don't know what you're
radioactive.
growing.
It's all
You
radioactive.
smoking Roundup in your shit.
Ugh. Ugh.
Like, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So yeah, that shit probably did make you schizophrenic.
Right. I mean, it's just people spinning shit for their own narratives. Like it's
Ex-
never made anybody schizophrenic. All it is highlight the fact that they are schizophrenic. Like you were schizophrenic
That's
before you
correct.
smoked it. All it did was highlight it.
That's correct. That's
So,
correct. That's right. And so that takes us back to what we were just talking about. We all need to take control of our own powerhouse. There is no doctor in the fucking world that could tell me more about me than I could.
right,
Nobody.
right.
Nobody.
Nobody, like you
They're
said, nobody's living in your life.
they're making an educated guess based on what we tell them. So why don't you figure it out on your own and learn how to connect? Like if people, so people, and let me say this, there should be no averages or charts that say what people's blood pressures are.
Right.
That's the dumbest shit ever.
Everybody's different.
Two, they're using the same charts right now that they've used since the beginning of Western medicine, and we're no longer breathing oxygen. So you know what they now have done? Have increased the high blood pressure rate. That shit ain't increased. It's just we're not breathing any oxygen anymore. And you all have not come to the timeliness of where we are. If everybody understands every issue or diagnosis is a sinus problem. That is why part of what I do in my classes is I teach people how to keep their sinuses open. I teach people how to read signs in the body. Your body will never, ever, 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 ever lie to you, nor will it ever be wrong when it tells you what the fuck is happening. Skin tags, moles, that is an indicator with a red laser fucking pointer that your body is saying there is clogged mucus here and I'm going to push it through the skin. So when people come in and they're like, Camille, I have moles, don't give a shit. The body's going to suck that back in. They're just
crazy.
It's like psoriasis, eczema. It's like, read it if we know how, but nobody teaches. So that's what I look to teach when I'm talking to people, because it's easy. There's the body. If you understand the general basics, and I'm not a physician. Yes, I spent a lot of time in my parents' offices, running their offices, working for them. However, the body is logical. It is not scientific. Science did not create the body. If we understand a general idea of the functionality of the body, we would never go to a fucking doctor unless we had an accident.
We would never go to the doctor. We would never go see therapists because, look, I was depressed and working out literally pulled me out of that shit. Everything is literally connected to your body. If you can just work out, get up off your lazy fucking ass, go hit a sauna, drink water, take medicine, guarantee you will not see anything bad from that unless you power lift. Don't do it. You can fuck some shit up. You can fuck some shit up. Now, look, I know you got to go soon, so I'm going to let you go here soon. But look, I loved this, Camille. I
did too.
You.
I love you
to have you on. Look, I'm building a studio, an actual podcast studio.
Love it.
I want you to come to that.
Without a doubt. Are you kidding?
100%. But like before you go, tell people where they can find you.
Okay.
All your social media. Let that out for us.
Cool. So across all social media, Facebook, IG, YouTube, CEJ Images is the name across all of those. CEJimages.com is the website. That's the website for Atlanta. Mm-hmm. If you are trying to schedule to see me in the DMV area, you are going to go to yourbodybydesign.me. Yourbodybydesign.me is for the DMV area. CEJimages.com is where you schedule all of the free 15-minute consults, the video consultations, and any appointments for the Atlanta area. And you can contact me through all of those. I do answer IG. I hate Facebook. Y'all check it. I hate Facebook. I don't do Messenger, but you can reach out to me on IG. You can reach out to me on YouTube too. And YouTube has some videos of me actually doing cold laser lymph drainage. Right. And I even do on there's a video of me performing lymph drainage on a 3-year-old.
I'll check that on my Instagram.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, the age, and that's another thing. There are no age requirements for what I do. I have clients as young as a year, as old as 101. So there's, as long as people are breathing, we can work on people.
Word. And tell people where to get that CBD again, please.
Oh, yes. Daily Vitamin CBD.life is where you go. There's a link on there. I need to tell them to make it bigger that says shop now, and it'll bring up the products. But awesome products, you guys. And I use them every day.
Word. And one more thing. You tell all your people that your boy is fucking licensed in real estate. So if they want some shit, come to your boy.
Oh, and check this. I absolutely will, because guess what? I just heard from 2 of my closest up here in the DMV that they may be coming down that bitch.
Well, look,
so Absolutely.
Look, you tell them to contact me, and it won't be no fucking maybe. I will make sure they come down, this motherfucker.
What's the best place? Same
Look,
thing?
look, I will text you my number. I will give you
Perfect.
my personal credentials.
Perfect.
You give them that. Look, I fucking love you, Camille. Thank you
Love
so
you
much for
too.
sharing your time with me. And I hope to see
Absolutely.
you
Thank you
soon.
for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We'll definitely do this again. And I come home tomorrow. So you and Ayla need to come see me this week.
Oh, hell yeah. Where? Okay, bet. All right.
Yeah.
Bye,
All
Camille.
right, sweetie. Thank you.
Welcome. Bye.
All right, bye.